A new grant-giving mechanism under the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund. Government official says don't worry about the return of parallel traders when the multi-entry visa scheme for Shenzhen residents resumes. And Zelensky prepared to end Ukraine war in return for NATO membership. Hello, I'm Melissa Hekalea, and this is TVB News. The government said today a maximum of 10 projects will be subsidized under the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund each year. This comes after the government reviewed the fund's mechanism and came up with an enhanced system. Mimo Singhai reports.
Launched in 2022, the Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund, or Mega ACE Fund, was an initiative of the government to promote Hong Kong's transformation into an international cultural exchange center and a destination for tourists. This year, authorities have subsidized 11 projects involving a cost of $135 million. The figure has exceeded the originally estimated yearly budget of $60 million. The Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau today announced an enhanced operation mechanism for the Mega ACE Fund that will take effect on January 1, 2025. Under the new system, authorities will pay more attention to whether the events can promote tourism and bring economic benefits to Hong Kong, including the amount of publicity and image-building values and development opportunities for the arts, cultural and creative sectors. The fund will adopt a fixed application cycle, 3 rounds of applications each year. The deadlines for applications, the last working day of April, August and December each year. Applicants are advised to apply at least 6 months in advance of their proposed event date. 2 types of funding support will be available for the applicants: matching grant and direct grant. A matching grant will be provided at a ratio of 1:1, aiming to encourage applicants to gather funding or sponsorship from private sources. Applicants of new or one-off events can apply for both matching and direct grants, with the amount being capped at $5 and $10 million respectively. Meanwhile, established event applicants can only go for the matching grant, with a funding ceiling of $15 million. Lawmaker Yu Pak Leung supports the adjustment. He said it is important for the public to know that taxpayers' money is used properly. Memos 9, TVB News.
Starting tomorrow, the multi-entry individual visit scheme for Shenzhen residents will resume. Hong Kong authorities say they are well prepared for an expected rise in cross-border travelers and will keep tabs on the city's capacity. They also believe the likelihood of an influx of parallel traders is low. Samantha Lee reports.
With the resumption of the multi-entry individual visit scheme for Shenzhen residents, some 18 million people with such permits can make unlimited trips to Hong Kong over a year and stay for up to 7 days each time. To ensure smooth operations at border control points, extra manpower has been deployed. Authorities will also step up patrols at shopping hotspots. Speaking on a radio program, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Calvin Yuan said he is not worried that parallel traders will return.
He
explained that the shopping habit of people on the mainland has changed, so there is no need to worry about an influx of parallel traders. He added that there are evening shows and concerts in Hong Kong to encourage visitors to stay overnight, instead of just making a day trip to the city. Meanwhile, some merchants near a border checkpoint are excited about the resumption of the multi-entry policy. Mr. Yu, a representative of the commercial city at Lantau Port, expects a growth in business. He will consider providing more services to travelers, including currency exchange and selling bus tickets. Members of the public are advised to check the flow of people at border checkpoints via mobile apps before heading to the border crossings. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
As Taiwan leader Lai Ching-te heads to Hawaii as part of a sensitive Pacific tour, the U.S. has approved the sale of spare parts for F-16s to Taiwan for an estimated $385 million. This figure also includes a potential sale of improved mobile subscriber equipment and radar parts. Taiwan's defense ministry said it expects the sales to go through within a month and says it can help them build up a credible defense force. This deal is on top of a $2 billion arms package approved by Washington last month, which includes air defense missile systems. China urged the United States to exercise utmost caution. The PLA has held military exercises around Taiwan this year, and more could be held this week to coincide with Lai's stopovers in Hawaii and Guam. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Friday that offering Ukraine NATO membership while allowing Russia to momentarily keep territory it had captured could be a solution to end the hot stage of the 33-month-old war. This as Zelensky replaced the commander of his military land forces as Russia is notching up gains in the east and Kiev's troops are facing manpower shortages. The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has called for Russia to immediately cease all attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Tracy Furness has more.
Residents of Kyiv went about life on Friday with flashlights and candles after Russia conducted a large-scale attack against Ukraine's energy infrastructure a day earlier. Russia fired nearly 200 missiles and drones, leaving more than 1 million households without power. There are power outages. Sometimes the schedule is stable, sometimes not. But we understand that the situation in the country is like this. It's inconvenient, this Kiev resident said. And this is what one Ukrainian thermal power plant looks like weeks after a Russian air attack. Drops of water from melted snow leak through gaping holes in its battered roof. Repeated Russian strikes on infrastructure have seriously impacted Ukraine's energy sector, often resulting in rolling blackouts across the country. Meanwhile, one spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights called for Russia's accountability for all unlawful attacks.
We call again on the Russian Federation to immediately cease all attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure critical to the civilian population, for accountability for all unlawful attacks, and for the international community to prioritize support to Ukraine to repair and restore its energy systems.
In an interview Friday, Zelensky said that Ukraine joining NATO would effectively and quickly help de-escalate the conflict, allowing his country and Russia to negotiate diplomatically the areas under Kremlin control.
But if we want to stop the hot stage of the war, we should take under NATO umbrella the territory of Ukraine that we have under our control. That's what we need to do fast. And then Ukraine can get back the other part of its territory diplomatically.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Lithuania announced that it was expelling 3 staff members of China's diplomatic mission without elaborating on specific reasons. Lithuania's foreign ministry has declared the 3 Chinese representatives in the country persona non grata, saying their activities have violated the Vienna Convention and Lithuanian legislation. The trio have 1 week to leave Lithuania. This came after a Chinese commercial vessel was suspected of being linked with the sabotage of 2 cables in the Baltic Sea earlier this month. Beijing denied involvement and expressed willingness to work with Sweden and other countries to ascertain what had happened. As the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire moves towards its 2nd week, contrast on either side of the border. In Lebanon, Hezbollah held public funerals for the first time in months and vowed to coordinate with the Lebanese army to uphold the truce. Hezbollah has declared a victory, and thousands of displaced Lebanese have returned to their homes. Meanwhile, in areas near the border in Israel, residents are cautious. David Garrett reports.
3 days ago, traffic jams filled the highways of Lebanon as residents returned after Hezbollah and Israel agreed to stop fighting in a deal brokered by the US and France. Most looked happy to be going back despite returning to damage. A few days into the ceasefire, things are far from normal in this kibbutz on the other side of the border. This place, which shows the scars of months of Hezbollah rocket fire, is still deserted. Residents do not trust the Iran-backed group to lay down its arms.
This is like really busy for a small kibbutz. This is a really busy place. And now it's nothing, it's a ghost town.
Dean is a gardener and a member of the kibbutz's civilian security squad. 45,000 people evacuated from Israel's north during the escalation. As Dean surveys the border free from firing, he says he understands why many are staying away.
You expect me to ring around my friends and say, all the families should come home? No. Because 2 month ceasefire doesn't mean 3 month, 4 month, 5 month, a permanent ceasefire. This is a 2 month ceasefire where they, after 2 months, could just open fire again.
The head of Hezbollah saying they will work with the Lebanese army to uphold the ceasefire. The group held its first public funerals for 2 months for 5 martyrs. One was injured before the truce and later he succumbed to his wounds. Hezbollah lost around 500 fighters during the war with Israel. The ceasefire has given the group the opportunity to recover bodies and honour the fallen. In Gaza, this woman sheds tears over a dead body. They went to buy bread and were crushed to death, says this shocked, angry relative. Medical officials say a 50-year-old woman and 2 children were crushed in a queue for bread at a bakery. Palestinians are desperate for food. The 3 killed in the crush had not eaten for 4 days. Supplies have been badly restricted because of Israel's war with Hamas. The UN says the amount of food available is at its lowest level since the conflict started. David Garrett, TVB News.
Russian and Syrian jets are reported to have bombed areas of Aleppo and Syria after footage showed opposition forces taking control of parts of Syria's second largest city. Insurgents were shown to be in control of areas in and around Aleppo earlier, with major roads closed and the airport also shuttered. Opposition forces have fought a protracted civil war against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, and in these pictures appeared to face little resistance. Russia has backed Assad with military assistance, and Syrian state media reports strikes hit rebel supply lines around Aleppo today. This is the first fighting in Aleppo since 2016. Still ahead, British lawmaker gives initial support to assisted dying bill. A look at China's traditional woodworking technique. And open day at the Hong Kong Observatory. Welcome back. British lawmakers have voted in favor of a bill that allows assisted dying for terminally ill patients in England and Wales under strict conditions. The bill now progresses to the committee stage. It will face months of scrutiny and possible amendments as it makes its way through the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Danny Cho has the story.
The ayes to the right, 330. The noes to the left, 275. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. And look!
A huge moment for Britain's social policy. The Assisted Dying Bill, introduced by Labour lawmaker Kim Leadbeater, has passed its second reading on Friday. The historic bill allows adults who are terminally ill, subject to safeguards and protections, to request and be provided with assistance to end their lives. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his predecessor Rishi Sunak both voted for the bill. Kemi Badenoch, leader of the Conservative Party, voted against. The vote followed a heated debate in the chamber that lasted for about 5 hours. Leadbeater opened the debate by pressing for a change in law to give terminally ill people choice, autonomy and dignity at the end of their lives. She said her bill provides the strictest safeguards. The decision made by the dying person must be approved by 2 independent doctors and a High Court judge.
Polling shows consistently that around 75% of people would like to see the legalisation of assisted dying for terminally ill, mentally competent adults. We should all have the right to make the choices and decisions we want about our own bodies. And let's be clear, we are not talking about a choice between life or death. We are talking about giving dying people a choice of how to die.
Opponents urged lawmakers to reject a state suicide service. Tory MP Danny Kruger noted true dignity consists in being cared for to the end, and the legislature should offer safeguards for the most vulnerable. It was reported that Kruger said the bill has truly dangerous deficiencies.
That real choice and autonomy means having access to the best care possible and the fullest control over what happens to you while you live.
The assisted dying bill will undergo another round of hearings in the Parliament. Currently, several countries, including Switzerland, Germany, Spain and parts of the United States, have legalized medical aid in dying under certain circumstances. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Observatory opened its doors to the public today. The organization hopes that its open day activities will bring more awareness of extreme weather and climate change to people. Samantha Lee was there earlier.
Many local residents visited the observatory's headquarters in Tsim Sha Tsui for its open day. In fact, this is not the only open day of the observatory this year. An earlier one was held back in March. Game booths, video games, and display boards were set up to introduce atmospheric science to the public.
We've never been here before, so it's a good chance to come in and see. A lot of information is good, yeah. Learning is quite scientific, and there's lots of games for the kids. They had fun, yeah. They like all the games, I think. It's just like all the toys they got.
The one that talk about tsunami, like the one there, I remember it the most. It said what is about a tsunami, it talks about it and how is it formed. It could also be dangerous for different parts. They check it and tell us to protect us.
Meanwhile, meteorological instruments used by the observatory for weather forecasting are being showcased, including this red balloon, which is used to collect data such as wind direction, wind speed, and temperature in the upper atmosphere. The observatory also put on display one of its 2 radiological survey vehicles equipped with various monitoring instruments for conducting radiological surveys and collecting environmental samples. Sunday will also be part of the observatory's latest open day. Tickets with a QR code were emailed to successful applicants earlier. Members of the public can also visit the observatory's website to play online quiz games. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The woodworking technique of Luban pillows is one of Shandong's intangible cultural heritage items. In the 9th part of our series, Shandong, From Ancient Culture to the Future, TVB News spoke with carpentry masters in Shandong and Hong Kong to understand how they try to popularize their craft, both internationally and to future generations. Jackie Lin reports.
This wooden handicraft might look simple, but is in fact a piece of history embodying generations of Chinese woodworking ingenuity. Called a Luban pillow, its craft has been listed as one of Shandong's intangible cultural heritage. Legend has it that it was invented by China's woodworking ancestor Luban some 2,500 years ago. It is made from a single piece of wood without the use of any nails, glue or rivets, through processes such as sawing, chiseling and carving. Chow Yibin, a 5th-generation master of the craft, underscored the versatility and the endless possibilities of the woodworking structure, which can be adapted to meet modern needs. They include a sofa, a stool, a footrest, or even a phone stand. The carpentry master added it symbolizes the philosophy of unfolding with balance and harmony in Chinese culture. In Shandong, many tourists like to experience and learn about the cultural heritage. Here in Hong Kong, a modest comeback of the Luban woodworking legacy and innovative spirit. Lam Chi, a veteran carpenter for 40 years, has observed the artistic twist of the craftsmanship in recent years. He said the Luban's joinery is about the complementarity and variability of the wooden pieces. Without the use of nails, which could go rusty, the pieces could last for hundreds of years. He added that in Hong Kong, the wooden furniture crafting technique has been listed as an intangible cultural heritage as well, and that drew more care and attention to the craft.
Lam also said in recent years, more young people are interested in woodworking, and their applications are not limited to making furniture or carrying out renovation work. They're also artists with possibilities to participate in movie productions.
Lam added that especially in Hong Kong, trees, branches and twigs down by typhoons can be upcycled through more woodworking endeavors. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.